Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson is in Nevada tonight at a banquet of pro-life supporters in Las Vegas. While Carson's outsider status seemed to catapult him in the polls, his past and his lack of political experience has been the focus of scrutiny in recent days. Tonight, senior national correspondent John Roberts talks to Carson about the past and the present.
Up to this point, Dr. Ben Carson's entree into politics has been a spectacular success. He still runs second in the national polls and some crucial early states. Millions of voters buying into his hopeful message to end the corruption in politics and bring back integrity, compassion, and common sense.
I'm glad to see them have that hope. I know it's an incredible uphill struggle to get there.
If running for president with a full Secret Service detail seems audacious for a first-timer, keep in mind Ben Carson has never been one for small ambition. At age 33, he became the head of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Medical Center. 3 years later, he made medical history, separating twins joined at the head, a landmark procedure documented in the film Gifted Hands.
2, 1, separate.
Carson's remarkable story of an impoverished and troubled inner-city kid who rose to the highest levels of medicine is the underpinning of his presidential campaign. Recently, that past was called into question when media reports discovered some inconsistencies in Carson's childhood stories. Dr. Donlin Long, who worked at Carson's side during the twin separation, vouches for the candidate, saying he heard all those stories long ago.
He had told me all those in the course of our relationship. My reaction is to be even more surprised that he turned his life around and was where he was.
Carson complained the scrutiny was unfair and in some cases downright inaccurate. But last week another blow when a Carson foreign policy consultant, former CIA officer Dwayne Claridge, implied the candidate was clueless about the Middle East. Carson had little choice but to throw Claridge under the bus, insisting none of his other consultants would say that.
But that one person did say that, and I'm wondering, is there a grain of truth there?
Well, one person who is 83 years old, I could tell you some other things, but I don't want to reveal, who's only been with me twice.
Carson acknowledges he still has a lot to learn about world affairs and may make a trip overseas before the Iowa vote to bolster his foreign policy credentials.
Are you at something of a disadvantage now that the focus has turned toward foreign policy?
I would say I was at a significant disadvantage when I first started this process. I've learned an enormous amount since then.
What quality do you possess that makes up for that missing piece?
Wisdom and the ability to surround yourself with adequate people.
While Carson is renowned for his intellect, he is also legendary as a pool player. A skill he honed as a way to decompress from stressful hours in the operating room. But in recent days, a little more stress has crept into his campaign. A new Fox News poll showing a precipitous drop in Carson's popularity in the crucial state of New Hampshire.
Is that a result of everything that's been swirling for the last couple of weeks?
I would imagine so. And New Hampshire tends to be, a little more liberal than some of the other early states. And I'm probably not a liberal person's dream candidate.
Much of Carson's pain appears to be self-inflicted. In press avails and television appearances, he often generates days of coverage picking apart his statements. Most recently, when he used an analogy about rabid dogs when discussing Syrian refugees.
Sometimes the way you say things ends up in days of stories about how you said what you said as opposed to what you were actually saying.
I'm not going to worry about that because I have come to understand that no matter what I say, people are going to find fault with it. So I'm not really talking to those people. I'm talking to the American public and helping them to be able to see the big picture.
For people who have known Carson for decades, his way of speaking is something they've come to expect. Dr. Reginald Davis was also on the Hopkins team that separated the conjoined twins.
I understand that Ben will speak his mind and will say things and perhaps in a way that others may not or others might take issue with, but that is Ben.
Through all the highs and lows, Carson's constant companion has been his wife Candy, even kicking off this rally in Alabama. They met at Yale University and have been inseparable ever since. It wasn't until they had grandchildren that Candy gave her husband the green light to run for office.
Why didn't she want you to get involved in politics?
Because it's a nasty business.
Also because I wanted you back. I gave you up for 38 years to medicine. Can I have you back now?
Yeah, that's a legitimate reason. and that was kind of why I was looking forward to retirement.
Carson is in difficulty not only in New Hampshire. New polls show him slipping to third place in both Iowa and Florida for the first time in months. And while some analysts believe this could be the beginning of the end for Carson, he told me there's still plenty of time to climb back up again. Bret?
John, thank you.